I only want to talk to the intellectual atheist today. There are so many that just stop in and throw a comment out. They don't even pay attention. But the intellectual atheist, if you'll hang on today, I've got some information that you might find pretty interesting. But it's not going to be of the sort that you actually like, because I'm not offering positive information. I'm actually offering reverse information. You see, there's only so many options to life. Either God explicitly created the universe, or, we got here by accident. And today's information is going to probably put a lot of stumbling blocks in the way of actually believing that path that, we continued to get here by accident. So years ago, I was talking to a scientist friend of mine, and we began to talk about anthropology and the history of mankind. And he began to jump into some serious details. And he was telling how we went from monkeys to, fighting warrior tribes to agrarian culture. And I was like, wait a minute, how do you know we made this transition? He's like, and because I read a little bit, and I was like, they're not historical records of what you're talking about here. He's like, oh, well, we know this because of artifacts. I was like, artifacts? Well, aren't those things that they tell whatever story the finder of them wants them to tell? Don't you get to kind of massage them and make them say what you want to say? And, I don't know. And so as I'm talking to my scientist friend, he's like, well, we know this because they have hose. And I was like, hose? It's like, okay, so if mankind was stupid in the past, more stupid in the past, is it possible that mankind created a terrible looking axe? Like, instead of the blade being this way, their first axe attempt was the blade being that way as they're chopping. Maybe they were just too stupid. And he's like, well, I guess that's a possibility. I mean, I haven't really thought of it. I was like, oh. And if mankind was more stupid back then, like, how do we really know it was a hoe and not just another type of battle axe? I could hear the stumbling in his voice, and it's that type of information that I want to bring to you today on a very scientific level, because of the scientists involved in bringing this information to us. So I ran across all-to-one tools, and that interested me. I was like, all-to-one tools, in my reading, I'm like, what are they talking about here? I got to dig into this. And I found out that that's the advanced name for Stone Age tools. And you're familiar with this. You got the Stone Age and the Bronze Age and the Iron Age. And the all-to-one tools account for the period of about 3.5 million years ago, all the way up until, 4,000 to 2,000 BC. And I'm only saying that because that's what the article said. You probably want me to say BCE, but I'm just quoting what I read on this. And so that period kind of lines up with some other things. But I don't want to lose you, so I won't go into what happened during that time period. But these all-to-one tools explain mankind's development as in technological development for 3.5 million years of human history. This is a major part of human history. And what would those tools be for? Oh, I need to describe the all-to-one tools, these Stone Age tools. So let's just say you've got a rock and it's got an edge broken off, but it's got maybe multiple edges on it, and it makes kind of a sharp, pointy thing, but the other side's smooth where you can hold it, and so you could use it for cutting. It'd be a very primitive knife, but it's got a sharp rock edge on it. And you could use it for scraping or digging. And so that's what the all-to-one tools are known for. And so it is a large descriptive part of human history is these Stone Age tools where mankind was, just past being a monkey. And now he had learned about tech, low tech, and now he was beginning to explore his world and learn things and, progress from that. But there was an article that came out in January 1st of 2017 in the Scientific American, and it was a review of Nature's article from 2016, the fall of 2016. And that many of you are correct in saying that science, is peer review, man. We can trust science because of peer review. Okay. Well, peer review doesn't mean popularized. Like if somebody comes up with a dissenting opinion, it doesn't mean there's going to be any popularity to it. It doesn't mean anybody's going to push the dissenting opinion. It's not going to be propagated. It's not going to be perpetuated. In fact, a lot of times the narrative is to let the sands of time, and popularity and our position just kind of blow that away with the winds of time. Maybe the truth will go away, but Kate Wong decided to write on Nature's article, and I happened to find it. And here's what was found. Someone noticed that the wild capuchins down in Brazil's Serra de Capivara National Forest were using rocks as tools. Somebody paid attention to this, like, man, this is fascinating. We need to study this. I think it was Thomas Prophet who studied these things and noticed, and I'm giving him credit for it. I know he was involved in it to an extent. And so they noticed that these capuchins were taking these rocks and cracking nuts open with them. And then they were also trying to dig roots up, to chew on and stuff. But then they noticed something very interesting, and they decided to study up on this, that those capuchins would find a rock that was sticking up out of the ground that was half buried, and they would take another rock and they'd begin to smash it on that rock, pat, 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 and break it, and chip it, and fragment it. And all of a sudden, it really began to appear to be an Aldewan tool. But you will not believe what happened next. These capuchins, these animals, they didn't even know what to do with these tools. They didn't know to start cutting. They didn't know to start digging with these things or scraping hides or getting meat off the bone. No! These capuchins, as they're breaking these rocks open, then would began to lick the open area. And the best they could guess at the time, and I don't know if this has been researched further or not, but the best they could guess at the time was that maybe they were licking the minerals out of the rocks. And so they took these tools and went and had them compared with Aldewan tools, and there's a lot of similarity, like a lot of similarity. Well, somebody decided to probe that further, and so they went to Ghana, Ethiopia, where the Aldewan tools were found, and they wanted to investigate this further, and they come to find out that there weren't even human or ape or any other kind of bones found with these rocks. So who did make these Aldewan tools? And so you can see how this is very damning in a lot of senses, because if monkeys are making Aldewan tools today, what are the odds that they were making Aldewan tools in the past? You see, in the blink of an eye then, 3.5 million years of history just kind of vanishes. And the reason that is because there are fabrications. There are those out there that are crafting and weaving storylines and guessing about artifacts and information without having all the facts together. So logically then, this is why I want to talk to the intellectuals, logically then, which makes more sense? To trust what millions upon millions of people tell you about their subjective experience with Jesus? And I have to say it that way, otherwise the video, you wouldn't believe what it does to the algorithm when I say his name. Is it better to believe what millions tell you about that God-man in particular? Or is it better to just trust some professor out there that is trying to make a name for themselves by creating a storyline that they have no idea about?